Hello, welcome back. Video 2. This time I thought I would look at some libs of TikTok. So a little bit of context again. Libs of TikTok is a Twitter account. I don't have Twitter. I don't like Twitter. I think it's an awful place to be. It's an echo chamber of vile thought, effectively. But libs of TikTok is a Twitter account that browses TikTok, and I think they do other things, but it's mostly TikTok that you see. And they go through TikTok and they look through liberal people. And by liberal, it means like American far left people. And they spout these crazy beliefs on TikTok because they want everybody to see them. But then when people in the center, like me, or in the right see them, we are seen as bad guys for pointing out the problems in what they say. So this is the second compilation, Libs of TikTok compilation part 2. Shout out to Big Nick for putting himself through this. So I only have to watch these once. I don't have to edit these all together. So thank you for that, Nick, because you've saved me a lot of trouble. I'll leave a link to Nick's I'll leave a link to Nick's channel, Big Nick's channel, in the description. Here we go. I'll try to, Nick. I'll try to.
My mommy doesn't like Dr. Seuss. She says he's a bad guy. Yeah, well, Dr. Seuss was mean to a lot of people. Why? Well, sometimes people are mean to others without reason when they're different than them. It's not very nice, and it's not okay. Who was Dr. Seuss mean to? He was mean to people who looked different to him and people who believed different things than he did. Oh, so he was racist like Donald Trump? Yeah.
Oh, I see where that was going. Oh. Why do people do this? Oh, there is a video. I'll edit it in post. It'll come up now.
Referring to inner city busing, bringing black people to white schools, he said that would create a racial jungle. I don't want my kids going to a racial jungle. How racist is that?
It's like a 9.
By doing that, you're creating racial jungles. And I don't want my children going to race. That's a 10.
That's a 10.
Spot, off the bat.
I was bust. I understand that. That's a 10.
Straight up.
Straight up. I would say 10.
That's a reader racist quote.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I would say 10 too.
10.
That's a 10.
Why would you say something like that? That's like pretty much saying that's a job. If y'all had a 20, it would be a 20.
that was as racist as you can get.
Yeah,
That's racism in a book. Like, if you want to be racist, you got to say that line.
Like, who said that?
You might as well just
Right.
say the N-word.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, in that video, you can see people being confronted with actual facts and who actually said the racist stuff and who didn't say the racist stuff. And a lot of the time they are shocked. But I can't think of one thing that Trump said that was racist. And considering how much airtime the orange man got, I mean, when he was elected to, it died off a little bit after January 6th. After all that stuff happened, he didn't get as much media attention. But for a good solid 4.5 years, he was on every single major news publisher. It was like, it was a headline: Trump does this, Trump does that, Trump does the other. I didn't see anything racist. I've seen Biden say racist things. I actually have seen him say racist things. But yeah, like I say, I'll edit some of this in post. Here you go, Biden being racist.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
And we're back. Right, let's keep going.
So this comment was put on a video that had absolutely nothing to do with politics, but let's dive in because teaching is political. The education system, the curriculum, school zoning, funding, standardized testing, all of these things can create and further lead to class and racial inequalities and impact life chances for our students. Especially as a history teacher, my students deserve somebody who is going to confront and challenge the injustices and untruths that are in our history that have led to discrimination. So yes, teaching is political because as we develop curriculum and have conversations with our students, equity and anti-racism need to be in the forefront of our minds, as well as giving our kids the means to gather factual information and form their own opinion. But this is wildly different than indoctrination or propaganda because I'm not trying to sway my students' opinions. I want them to form their own educated opinions. What I'm doing is challenging a broken system and hopefully laying the groundwork for progress and justice.
word salad. Buzzword salad. The thing that struck me the most there was equity and anti-racism. So if you want to quickly unpack what these terms mean, equity is a fancy word for communism. It's a fancy word for it. So here's an example of how equity works. You and I both perform a task, and you do the task for twice as long as I do, but it takes you half as long to do the work. So you've done 4 times the work that I've done. In an equitable society, we will both get paid the same. That's what equity is. So we've both done a job. All other factors don't matter. We've just done the job, so we get equitable pay. Right? That's an example of it. Or another example would be, I make millions, you make nothing, so you get to come and take my money. Or you make millions and I make nothing, so I get to come and take your money, because we need equity. And people like to talk about, we'll get to the anti-racism. People like to talk about equality, and equality only works in certain ways. So if you do equality of outcome and equality of opportunity, they are 2 separate things. They don't even remotely resemble each other. They might have slight similarities, but beyond that, they're totally different systems. Equality of outcome is what I've just been talking about, which is equity. So it doesn't matter how long it takes you to perform something. It's the outcome which is the basis for the result. So if I go and study and somebody else goes and studies and we do an exam, equality of outcome dictates that we have the same result no matter what we write in the paper, because our outcome has to be equal. So that means you take a really smart person, a mediocre person, and then a person who's approaching mild retardation in like the lower 60 IQ range. You take those 3 people and they will all get the same test result on the paper, because equality of outcome was enforced. Equality of outcome makes no sense. It doesn't make any sense. That's like if I'm born 6 foot and you're born 5 foot, you need to get leg extensions from my bones. I need to give you some of my bones so that you can be taller, so that we can have equality of outcome when it comes to height. Now, equality of opportunity is fair, because that means that you are limited in your results based on you and you alone. So, for example, I could not be an NBA player. I'm only 6 foot tall. I think I've dunked a basketball twice in my life. So me doing that, probably not going to happen. But I could. I've got the opportunity to try and fail if I wanted to. Like, there's no guarantee of success in any field, but there's guarantee of opportunity. So this allows for meritocracy to exist. And a meritocracy is a system where you rise through the ranks based on your merit, given the subject matter. So if you were to use equality of outcome, you would have people in positions that they have no right to be in. And this is where you start to get racist, because if you're hiring somebody because of their skin color, that's racist, isn't it? If not hiring somebody, so say if we go back to a stupid law, because Irish people weren't white people in America for a while. That's how ridiculous all this racism stuff gets. So we'll use white people that aren't white people for the sake of the argument, to point out how stupid this really is. So if a white person won't hire an Irish person because they're a different race, that's racist. We can all agree that it's a bit stupid, but that's how it worked back then. Our ancestors weren't the smartest of people. So I'm a white guy, I'm not hiring you, you're white. That's me being overtly racist, because I'm not hiring him because he's white. So it works the other way, which ties us into anti-racism. So if I'm racist to somebody because they're white, so say I make this statement, so I say, I hate them all, they all need to die, white people are disgusting, right? That is racist. And if you swap out white for any other race, it's the same thing. It's just you're aiming your racism in a different direction, but you're still spewing it regardless, right? So if you then take that racism and turn it around and point it at the people that have been racist to you, You're not being anti-racist, you're being racist. There's no such thing as anti-racist. If you were going to try and describe what anti-racist would be based on what the words mean, so anti means opposite, opposed to, in opposition to. So I'm an atheist. You believe in God, so say you're a Muslim, you believe in Allah. Assalamu alaikum to you, brother, right? But you don't believe in 2,999 other gods. You don't believe in Zeus and Poseidon and Hades or Apollo or Mars. You don't believe in any of these gods. Neither do I. I just don't believe in the one God that you don't believe in. But I am an atheist. And A means I don't have one. Asexual, don't have a preference. Atheist, don't have a God. If I was an anti-theist, I would hate on people who had religion. I would try and stop religion happening. I'd be anti-religion. I would be opposed to religion. So I'm not an anti-theist, I'm an atheist. So if anything, if you want to try and use an anti-symbol for racism, you should be a racist, technically. Like not a racist, you should be a racist, like atheist. And that's the way I see the world. I don't care what colour your skin is. I don't care where you're from. Well, like, was it Martin Luther King? The content of the character is the most important thing to me. I don't care what colour your skin is. It's how you conduct yourself and how you treat people. And if you're a dignified, respectful, polite human being, you're just the same as me. And then we can just go on with our lives and do what we need to do. But anti-racism, yeah, that's just racism. It's racism in a different label. It's like Rick and Morty says, it's just racist. It's like slavery with extra steps. It's racism with extra steps. So in order to be an anti-racist, somebody has to be racist to you. So if somebody's racist to you, oh, goddamn honky. So now I can respond by being racist back. But I'm not being racist, I'm being anti-racist. No, you're being anti-racist. That's like saying in the First World War, the Germans were firing bullets and then we were firing anti-bullets. Because we were firing bullets back at their bullets. We were using anti-bullets on their bullets. We had anti-rifles against their rifles. And then we invented tanks and the Germans invented anti-tanks, but they were just tanks. Like, that's the logic that follows from saying anti-racist. It doesn't make it... Oh, it baffles me. But yeah, so back to the original point of this video. She's a teacher. And she's saying that teaching is political. No, teaching isn't political. The only time teaching is political is if you are teaching politics. That's it. So there's a few instances where you can teach politics. You can teach policy in an economics classroom. You can teach policy in a politics classroom, like if you're going to do like a governmental degree. And then history. Yeah, I do admit you can talk about history, and it's not political to talk about historical politics. It's only political if you're involved in the political thing today. So would it be, so if I was to talk about like a witch hunt, for example, because in England we used to hunt witches and burn them at the stake. That was a government policy, that was fine, that was above board, that was legal. So is talking about witch hunts political? Because based on that logic it would be. So anything that's ever been involved in politics now is political. So even, like, does that mean that playing, so FIFA has just had a problem, Electronic Arts has just had a problem with loot boxes in some of the Scandinavian countries and gambling with children. So because FIFA has been involved in a political drama in a foreign country, does that mean that Electronic Arts is now a political debate if we talk about it? Because that's the logic that follows. Anything that's linked to politics means it's political. So technically, like this t-shirt now, Russell Brand's merch, shameless plug for Russell Brand, there you go. This stuff, so this is political, is it? Because I bought it from Russell Brand and he talks about policy, so this is a political t-shirt, even though it's just got a raven on it. Is that the limit to which we're going to say it's political? Because if you're going to go that far saying it's political, we can go all the way the other way, saying that you even talking about this is political. So you've defeated your own argument. Like there's no logic in the world anymore. Let's go away from the lady with the pink hair.
So it's the last night.
Oh God, she's got pink hair.
Of summer camp, and we had our award ceremony tonight, and
Summer camp.
I got misgendered when they presented my award.
If they called you a woman, you weren't misgendered.
And I know they didn't do it on purpose, but that doesn't make it hurt any less. I ended up going in the bathroom and crying. And
This is what participation trophies do to people. You're an adult, and somebody called you a hurtful name. Accidentally. You even said yourself, accidentally. They called you a hurtful name. by accident. And the most rational response you have is to go into the bathroom and weep. Now, I don't know what that speaks to more. Your lack of maturity as an adult, or your sense of self, like how much people recognizing you means to you, or how mature you are. I don't know what it speaks to more, but going into a bathroom and weeping because somebody misgendered you, that's crazy. That's crazy. It really is. I don't get these people, because it can't be good for your mind. It can't be good for your mind to be in a position where somebody misgendering you can override your emotions and make you weep. That must be such a difficult place to be in. I feel nothing but pity for these people, if I'm being totally honest.
Everyone's like, oh, she didn't do it on purpose. She didn't do it on purpose. But that means that I've been here for 2 months, and still their subconscious still thinks of me as a girl, and that's really hard.
So it's really hard to live in a world where people use biology and their intrinsic nature to work out what to call you. So I think the problem is you need a beard, because I've never been misgendered. Nobody's ever said miss to me, ever. So you need to ask yourself, if you're being misgendered, maybe it's your problem. If somebody's misgendering you because you look like something, is it their fault for misgendering you? I mean, if I claim to be a woman now, all 6 foot of me, with my magnificent ginger beard, do I have any right to be upset if somebody calls me sir? I mean, I look like a sir. If it looks like a duck, sounds like a duck, walks like a duck, you call it a duck. And if the duck gets upset, fuck the duck. I mean, what can you do? You're merely observing reality in front of you. If you think, right, if you think that walking around with a pair of massive love cushions on your chest, with a haircut that looks like a lesbian would have it, so it's like it's a female style haircut, right, with those Elton John looking glasses on, and expecting people to take you as a man, like to see you and perceive you as a man, that's madness. That's madness. I think it's narcissism. I think you're obsessed with yourself to even think that, why should I change what I view, like how I see the world for you? It's like you want me to embrace your delusion. No, not today.
Really hard.
So I don't know if this is considered an unpopular opinion, but if you have a daughter, you need to stop calling her princess if you do. The way that Disney has branded the princess is based on her beauty as her most important asset. This term also encourages the damsel in distress that needs to be rescued by a man, and it doesn't focus on their intelligence or integrity or any other character trait. Why don't we call girls scientist, engineer, doctor? Like, why does it have to be something cutesy like, oh, princess, what do you need? Like, no. My daughter's father called her princess yesterday, and I had to lecture him.
My daughter's father. Notice how she didn't say husband.
Again, because we do not use that term in this house. Even my own sisters have called her princess, and I will tell them, don't call her that. Maybe I come across as very controlling, but I think it's a very harmful word, and she shouldn't look up to that term.
Okay. What the fuck is that? Okay, right, so let's put the shoe on the other foot. I love to do that here. If the argument works one way and it works the other, it's a moot point. But you like to breathe, so do you, bitch. Shut your mouth. The argument makes no sense, right? So, if calling a child princess, specifically a girl, calling a boy princess, yeah, that's messed up. But if you call your little girl princess, that means that your wife is the queen and you're the king. I'm the king of this domain. This is my house. That's my queen. She's my princess. So what if I call my son Prince? Is that harmful as well? If I say he's my little prince, yeah, and then that's my little princess, that's my queen, and I'm the king. You are in my realm now, peasant. is that demeaning and harmful to the boy as well as it is to the girl? Because it's just like a princess is just a version of a prince, and it's got nothing to do with beauty. Like, Disney makes the princesses look like that because they're symbols of like purity. They're princesses. They haven't been messed about. They haven't been out with all the little street urchins. They've lived a nice sheltered life, and they're meant to represent like wholesomeness. And little girls should aspire to be like princesses. Look at the caliber. Look at the caliber that Princess Diana was. That woman, what she did. If that is not a good exemplar for little girls to look up to, I don't know what is. I tell you what, she's a better example than that stupid Meghan Markle is. I'm telling you that now. She's far from princess material. That's what the modern princess is. And you saying, don't call my daughter princess, is unbelievable. So, all right, you don't use it in your house. That's okay. Soon as she steps out on the curb, I'm going to call her princess because you don't control what I say. Right? If you want to get the police involved and you want to try and make a case that the word princess is harmful to your child, you go for it. You go for it. But I can't see you winning that one. Anyway, let's have a look at this panda thing.
Trying this again because I keep running out of time and fucking up. I keep forgetting I can't say certain words on here, so let's try this.
Fuck, fuckity, fuck, fuck, fuck. I couldn't give a fuck. I'm not going to get monetized until I get 1,000 subscribers anyway. That's you, yes. Subscribe. Don't just watch and fuck off, yes? You know what I'm talking about.
Mostly I feel feminine or non-binary. Today I'm feeling really femme and...
You feel feminine or non-binary? I thought feminine was part of the binary. I thought you've got feminine and masculine, and that's the binary. So what you're saying is, you've got two scales, and you like to quantum leap between those two scales. So one day you can feel binary, then the other day you can feel non-binary. Your feelings do not dictate who you are. Your feelings change on a day-to-day basis. Your feelings are not part of your identity. If they were, that means that I could identify as hungry because I feel hunger. Can I identify as a thirsty woman because I feel slightly feminine today and I'm parched? Doesn't make any sense. Your feelings don't dictate who you are. Your feelings do not dictate who you are. If they did, like, you'd be a different person every day. Because some days you'd feel content, some days you'd feel rage, some days you'd feel happy. You'd bounce from different people to people to people to people. It makes no sense. What you mean is you can't contain your emotions, and you haven't formulated a way for you to deal with them inside your mind. So now you're just going to let your emotions rule your life instead of you ruling your emotions. You are a slave to them. They are not a slave to you, and that's the problem here. I mean, I don't understand how the people who say that it's all about internal stuff and it's all about how they feel and it's all my identity and all this. If it's all about internal stuff, why do you paint yourself like that? If it's all about how you feel, why do you paint yourself? Surely, if it's all internal, what the hell is that about? I haven't paused you on a flattering picture, I do admit, but I mean, look at that. What is that about? She looks like she's got. I promise you, there is a caterpillar that looks like that. There is a caterpillar that looks like that. I'll try and edit a picture in. Here, there's a caterpillar. Looks like that.
Like, as well. Yeah. But,
What the hell just happened?
This. Mostly I feel feminine or non-binary. Today I'm feeling really femme and cat-like as well. Yeah. But...
Oh, so that's her feeling like a cat. That's her feeling like a cat. So she feels, whoa, so she feels binary on some days, masculine, femme. Then other days she's non-binary. And then some days she can be a mix of those and feel a bit cat at the same time. Feel a bit cat. Yeah.
I also feel masculine, mostly boyish. I don't ever really want a woohoo. I'm proud to have a hoo-ha. But I also, sometimes want to take these guys off. But other times I'm happy to have them. I love to play with them. I love them. Other days I want to tape them down. I'm running out of time. But yeah, I go through stages of feeling feminine,
see,
non-binary, and sometimes boyish. So that's
You see, this is exactly what I've just been saying. You're going to bounce around, and you're never going to be able to pinpoint an identity. If your identity is based on something that can move, you are not going to be able to identify with it. It's going to move around, and you're not going to be able to stick with it. These people need help, man. These people need help. Like I was saying earlier, can you imagine what it's like to be trapped inside a brain that processes the world like this? Can you imagine what it's like to be trapped inside a brain that won't let you accept your body for what it is because your chemistry is off balance? Can you imagine? I think we take for granted. I think we do. I think we take for granted waking up on a morning and not even considering the fact, like, I've only just now thought about the fact that I'm a man. And it's because I've been tempted to think that way because of these videos. Like, I've only just addressed the fact that, yes, I'm a male. I'm 6 hours deep into my day. And I can't imagine what it's like to wake up and feel that kind of internal conflict and have yourself plagued by self-doubt and not know what you are. And like that young lady just said there, she doesn't want a penis and she's happy she's got a vagina, but sometimes she doesn't like her breasts and sometimes she wants to cut them off, or she wants to tape them down. Sometimes she wants to. So that means if she removes them, sometimes she'll want them back. Do you see what I'm saying there? Because if you want rid of something sometimes, it means that you could do without it every now and then. But then the shoe would go on the other foot, wouldn't it? So it's not there anymore, so you'd miss it every now and then. So you're going to permanently mutilate yourself for a temporary feeling. And this is not good. This is not good. This is mutilation. I'll tell you what, I'll give you an exact... If you think the word mutilation is a problem, I'm going to give you an exact example now, right? When I was 16 years old, I nearly chopped my finger off. So that's my little finger now. If you pull your fingers back and make your hands straight, that's me doing it on my right hand. It still moves. I had to have 42 stitches in this finger and attach my tendon back together there. It's really good for telling people to call me. Really good for it. Really good for it. Apart from that, it's knackered. So, long story short, I had an accident with a knife. And then I had to have surgery to repair it. So, now we're crossing to that threshold into the surgery and mutilation. So, when I went into that theatre, I had two pinky fingers. I had my left pinky finger and my right pinky finger. My right pinky finger was severely damaged. Severely damaged. My left pinky finger was absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with it. The surgeon was told to operate on my right pinky finger. And he was supposed to open it up. I had 42 stitches in it. There's a massive zigzag scar on my finger. I had 42 stitches. They opened it all up, like peeling a banana in a zigzag. Opened it. They got my two bits of tendon and they attached them back together, put a little graft on it, stitched me back up, and then I had to go and see a physiotherapist for 6 months so I could actually get the tendon to move. That's what happened. If the surgeon had have operated on my left finger and done the exact same procedure, he would have mutilated me and I would have sued him for every penny he had. Right? So, the definition of mutilation is the destruction, removal, or harm to an otherwise healthy body part. Right? So, if you've got a healthy body part and you damage it, destroy it or remove it, you're mutilating it. Right? So, when he cut my little finger open because it was damaged, he wasn't mutilating me. He was trying to perform restorative surgery. Right? He was restoring functionality of my finger. If that same surgeon with that same scalpel in that same room had have done it to my left hand, he would have been mutilating me. Right? That's my example of how mutilation and restorative surgery are different. I can give you countless other ones. I'll give you one for a female. I'll give you one for a sexual organ. Eh? If a woman goes in for a mastectomy, I think it's called. A mastectomy. It's called, sorry. A mastectomy. If a lady goes in for a mastectomy and gets one of her breasts removed, right? It's mutilation or restorative surgery, depending on the context of the surgery. So, if she has cancer, and she has to have one of her mammary glands removed, and they remove her breast and they give her a fake artificial boob, right? That's restorative surgery. They are trying to stop that woman from getting worse. So my finger, if I hadn't had it restored, I would have developed severe arthritis and the joints would have seized. So I needed to have it moving so that there could be a little bit of cartilage. Otherwise, I would have had to have my finger amputated. So it was either restore it or remove it. Do you see? So that's what happens with that lady's breast. If she needs to have that removed because she's got cancer in there, she gets it taken off, she gets a new one put in. That's restorative surgery. But if the lady that's just been in the video that we were discussing, if she goes and has her breasts removed, that is mutilation. They were healthy. There was nothing wrong with them. They shouldn't have been taken off. They shouldn't have been taken off. Now, there's a grey area of mutilation here, right? And whether you want to accept it or not, certain things are mutilation that we may not see them as. Piercings are mutilation. Tattoos are mutilation. Think about it. You take a healthy arm, you inject it with ink and scar it permanently, you've mutilated your arm. Now, some mutilations are socially acceptable, some aren't. We've done piercings for centuries. There's ancient tribes with piercings in the ears from Africa from like 10,000 years ago. We've been doing it for a very long time. So we've been mutilating ourselves for a long time. Scarification is another form where people will burn themselves and it'll leave scarified skin on their arm. You can see what bulges, and tribes will often do this when young men reach a certain age. They'll get certain stripes and stuff. So mutilation is very dangerously close to restorative. Like they share a boundary, and if you're mutilating somebody as a medical professional, I think you should have your license revoked, because a mutilation, you're doing more harm than good. You're not fixing anything. You're damaging stuff there. You're a wrecking crew. You're a biological wrecking crew. It's if you wanted, like, if you had a hole in your house, say this window fell out, right? I would get builders to come in and fix my window. If the builders turned up with a wrecking ball and started smashing my house up, they're not builders, are they? They're not builders. That's what's happening if you go into surgery. If a 14-year-old boy goes into surgery with a healthy penis and scrotum and has it all removed, the surgeon is a mutilist. Simple as that. But yeah, anyway, let's see what this blue-haired lady has to say. See, I'm saying lady again. No Adam's apple, feminine jawline, very, very thick hair past 30. Look at my hair. I'm only 30. Very thick hair past 30. And not a bit of stubble. And then there's some fun cushions. Do you know what I mean? It's obvious that that is a lady.
I just added bug to my list of pronouns. So here's a very quick tutorial on how to use bug's pronouns in sentences. Okay, let's go. I'm meeting up with my friend Moth later. Bug just dyed Bug's hair and it's this super cool green color right now. I think we're gonna go to Bug's house and play some video games. And then I think Bug said that Bug wanted to go to the store by Bug's self. So I'm gonna head out after that and then maybe we'll get to hang out another time. I love hanging out with Moth. Bug is a super cool friend and I'm so glad that Bug hangs out with me.
There's a problem in this video. Have you spotted it yet? Do you remember how we said before that princess is a harmful word? This is at Bug Prince. Do you think this lady knows how harmful the word prince is? She shouldn't be saying that to herself, should she? It's a very high standard that she's holding herself to, and it's all Western imperial beauty standards and stuff. She shouldn't be doing this to herself. But yeah, let's address the bug in the room. What the hell are they talking about? So they're taking a noun, just a normal noun like bug, which is a bug is more of a catch-all noun, isn't it? Bugs in the category of like thing and what you might call it, because bug could mean anything. Like an ant's a bug, a bee's a bug, a spider's a bug, a moth's a bug. So they're taking a noun from something. So now that means if that's true, and you're allowed to use any noun as a pronoun, that means that I can call myself chair, and I'm sat here with chair self, and we can use that. This is getting absolutely mad. I don't understand how these people don't have people around them to almost like to just drop a little bit of common sense on them. It's almost like they're in echo chambers. This is probably what TikTok is doing to them. I think TikTok's making it worse, because it seems to be TikTok where you see the most extreme stuff. But this lady is now a moth. But she shouldn't be in such a well-lit room if she's a moth. She'd be bouncing off the light bulb, wouldn't she, if she was really a moth? But anyway, let's...
So yeah, if you guys have any questions, that is how you use bug's self pronouns.
She forgot them. She forgot them herself. She got 3 words deep and she was like, error does not compute. That's shocking. She doesn't even know what she's talking about.
And I'm always willing to answer questions about my pronouns.
Period poverty doesn't just affect women. Two-spirits, trans men, non-binary people, and genderqueer people can all have periods.
Two-spirits, trans men, non-binary, and genderqueer people can all have periods. Yes, because a woman can take any of those labels on board. She's still a woman though, isn't she?
And arguably, period poverty may be higher in these populations. Here's why. You ever seen a tampon dispenser or a box of free tampons in a men's bathroom?
No, because men have penises. You see, this is why trans men aren't men. because if they were men, you'd call them men. You wouldn't call them trans men. Like, I'm not going to say that this is a trans card. This is trans card because it was made from paper, you see. No, this is actually fucking card. So I'm going to call it card, right? You can't make something into something it's not and then try and change the name and have the name. Like, the word trans is a qualifier to indicate that they're not truly a woman. And yes, I said truly because there's many, many things that make you a woman, and your outbound appearance is not one of them. Your internal feelings is also not one of them. It's based and rooted in biology. I've never seen a man get a man pregnant. Never. And I've never seen a woman get a woman pregnant. Never. Guess why? Binary system. Mammals. Thousands of years of evolution. Check it out one time.
What about a period aisle not labeled feminine hygiene?
Yeah, because masculine hygiene will be ball perspiration wipes.
Or pink boxes all around it. Periods can be a really tough and dangerous time for people that aren't cisgender women. So if you're donating period products or putting them out in your workplace or school, make sure they're in all bathrooms. Or at least that all people have.
Did you see how she had to add cisgender women? Because if she used the word women, there'd be no problem because all women have them. Well, not all women have them because some women have problems where they can't have them, but all women are born with the capability to have them, and then there's 0.02% that are born intersex that can't do it, but that's the outlier. Like we say, this is the fucking bell curve. If you're going to use these to argue, you're just going to go and get rid of them too, because we don't need them. We don't need the outliers of the bell curve. You need the middle of the bell curve. And the middle of the bell curve, men have penises and women have vaginas, right? And the fact that you have to use cis as a qualifier for cis women, do you know what cis women means? Woman. Because they're trying to use cis woman to mean what woman means, so they can co-opt the word woman. If they can use the label, so that there's the label for females, right? That's the word woman that we use. So if they can take that label away and use it for other things, but they can't take it first. Have you seen that scene in Indiana Jones where he takes the thing? I think he takes the skull and he puts a bag of sand down. Yeah, because there's a booby trap underneath, there's a pressure plate, you can detect the disturbance. So as soon as, for them to take the word woman, they need to put something else down in its place. So they've taken the word woman and put the word cis woman down, right? So now they can use this word for whatever they want. So now I can be a woman because they've swapped the words round. Well, I'm going to do a video later down the line, but they've even started changing the dictionary definition of what female is. So they've done woman, and Matt Walsh has done an amazing documentary called What is a Woman? And they've done woman, and now they're moving on to female because people like to use the word female to argue for what a woman is. So they're just going to change the meaning of that now as well.
Have access to these products. Because blood has no gender, baby.
Blood doesn't have gender, I don't think. No, you're correct. Because your blood's just, like, I'm sure you can get a blood transfusion. Like, if my fiancée and I had the same blood type, I could give her blood and vice versa. But everything else in you does. Your bones have gender. Your muscles have gender. Because they've got male chromosomes in there. Like, men's muscles are different to women's. Like, heart, lung, bone, even the bone marrow, it's all different. So, like, your blood might not have gender, but I could be wrong on that. There might even be sexual like indicators inside human blood because of the amount of testosterone and estrogen that's probably flowing through it. So that's probably a false statement, if I'm being honest.
This is just your friendly reminder that you are not blessed, you are privileged. Not hashtag blessed, hashtag privileged. So when you post pictures of your beautiful vacation or your healthy children or your lovely home and you write hashtag blessed, you are offensive because you were not chosen as one of God's favorites. You were given opportunities that other people were not, including access to healthcare, a job, health insurance, and there are many people in this world who are oppressed who do not have access or opportunity to have the things that you have. So you are not some man in the sky's favorite because you are better than others. You are privileged, and that's okay. Just use your privilege in a positive way, and remember that you are not hashtag blessed.
I agree with every word she just said. You are privileged because you see, I think that was like a Freudian slip moment where she didn't mean to do that, because that had nothing to do with your race, it had nothing to do with your gender, it had nothing to do with it. Every single person on this planet experiences a different level of privilege. Every single person. Every single person experiences a certain amount of privilege, and it's got nothing to do with your race. It's the majority of your privilege is to do with like where you're born and what your family managed to do with the privilege they were handed. So, like, Boris Johnson is a complete and utter blithering idiot. Brexit. He's a complete blithering bum, right? And he went to one of the finest schools, got one of the finest educations. He lived in Downing Street, and he was getting £20,000 spent on wallpaper. And I'm probably smarter than that man, because he was born in a privileged position, right? But everybody is. I'm more privileged than somebody that lives in the arse end of nowhere in Baghdad, who had all his family blown up in the Gulf Wars that happened in America, with America trying to take the oil. Like, I'm more privileged than him, but I'm not privileged because I'm white. Because if white privilege was a thing, all white people would be privileged. All of us. So that means every white homeless person that I've ever seen, they can't exist because white privilege dictates that all white people are privileged. It didn't make any sense. But yeah, I agree. Everything she said, you're not blessed. You're not blessed. You're privileged. You were born to either a good family that had some money, or you were sent to a good school or whatever. But, like, everybody's privileged in their own right. Everybody's privileged in their own way. This is why the argument makes no sense. Like, as a club to hit somebody with it makes no sense, because she's privileged as well. So for her to preach it is hypocritical. And for me to preach it, I'm privileged. Like, for me to be able to, like, I got to university and stuff, and all I got was debt. I didn't have to pay for it up front. Like, that's a privilege, and we all get these privileges. So I can accept it as a truth, but it's not an argument. It's not something that you can use to make somebody feel bad. I mean, if somebody understands that the privilege is, like, do you think Donald Trump's kids don't know they're privileged? Do you think that they don't know it? You know what I mean? I think it's a bit obvious that everybody knows it. And do you think people that are underprivileged don't know that they're underprivileged? So she's made a very good point. It's not an argument. It is a very, you see, this is why I say I'm central. Because if I was right-wing, I wouldn't agree with that. But yeah, I do agree with that. That makes sense, because we're all privileged in our own little way. But to blame a characteristic for said privilege is wrong.
Blessed.
But yeah, you're not blessed.
This is probably going to piss off a lot of people.
Go for it.
But a relationship between a man and a woman is inherently unequal. And that goes for any relationship where someone is deciding to date their oppressor. Just like all white people have racism brainwashed into them, all males have misogyny brainwashed into them. And any male who claims not to be a misogynist is a misogynist. Because
I'm not a
a self-aware
misogynist.
man knows that he has it brainwashed into him.
Yeah,
And any time
brainwashed.
that a woman decides to be in a relationship with a man, she's making a sacrifice and a commitment knowing that she's dating her oppressor. Almost all women have sexual trauma and emotional abuse trauma, literally just from society. And she's taking a risk in being with you and making a commitment to help you undo your brainwashing. Now, of course, I'm not saying that people shouldn't date the opposite gender, but a lack of awareness can cause problems.
So there's a lady there with dyed hair and a little crystal hanging around her neck, and I would bet my left nut she believes in astrology. Oh, you're a Sagittarius, that means we'll totally click. Like, I bet she's the kind of woman that believes in that. Yeah, I'm the brainwashed one. How does that even make any sense? So fair enough, I'm brainwashed for being misogynist, right? So what about the sacrifices that men make when they get in marriages? So if I married my fiance now and she decides that she wants to leave me, she's going to get the kids, she's going to get the house, she's going to get some of my money when I leave. I'm not going to get that. So is that not a sacrifice that I make? Am I not putting my nuts on a chopping block for her to swing the knife? Is that not what's happening right now? So for you to even say that proves that you don't have a clue what you're talking about. And secondly, you're going to die alone. So you might as well learn how to scoop cat poop. Because the way that you go on, no man's going to deal with you. And if you do find a man that deals with you, you're going to find a little bitch man. A little bitch that's going to be a beta male that's going to go, oh yeah, I'll do it for you, dear. Oh yes, dear. No. Fuck you. You'd get told and you'd get put straight in your place. And the worst thing is, a man like me is probably the kind of man that you need to make you moist. Because all those little beta bitches won't turn you on. Because you'll feel like you dominate them. If you didn't want to date your oppressor, date somebody else. You don't have to come at me saying that I'm an oppressor because you feel oppressed. You feel oppressed because you've made it happen to yourself. Victim culture 101. It's not my fault. It's everybody else. I can't have done anything wrong. My sexual trauma is not because I fuck all the chads. It's all the chads' fault. Stupid bitch. Bye.
There is absolutely no reason why Hurricane Ida should have done that much damage to
Please don't tell me that she thinks a hurricane is racist. Please say that's not going to be the case here, please.
Louisiana and Mississippi and along the path that it's going to take. And part of the reason why is because there is infrastructural and environmental racism in a lot of minority and low socioeconomic communities.
Environmental racism. Don't go over there, it rains over there, so we'll put the black people there. What on earth are you talking about? So the weather's racist.
There's no reason that the southern border of Louisiana should still be struggling to figure out what type of infrastructure and technology they can use to prevent minority communities from being destroyed. And on top of that, not just being destroyed, but also having to put in their own resources to rebuild their own community. Like, wake up and smell the flowers, people, okay? There is race embedded into every decision in the United States of America, and the sooner that we realize that, the sooner we can stop people from dying because of things that could have been prevented.
This is something as well. If you're an American and you're watching this, you need to understand how fucking crazy you look to the rest of the world, right? I'm British, and I've got the racism that I grew up with was British racism. And the British racism that I grew up with was very, very, very old people, usually old men, and most of them are dead now, right? And they would be very rude to people that were from Africa and Asia. Very rude to them. And they call them all sorts of slurs and stuff. But that's all gone. Like, it's very rare. It's very rare. Like, I haven't seen an instance of real life racism in the UK for well over a decade. I remember seeing this really grumpy old man in the town that I'm from. He was shouting horrible racist things. But I must have been about 18 at the time. So about 12 years, I haven't seen one instance of an actual racist occurrence. And over here, we barely see it. We don't really talk about race because it's such a pointless thing to discuss. But over there in America, everything is racist, guys. You think everything is racist. Every single thing. Oh, it's because black people this and black people that. Morgan Freeman said to stop talking about it. You just keep going on and on and on about it. Thomas Sowell's even said that racism would have died a long time ago. It's kept on life support. And it's kept on life support by the crazy left. The crazy, crazy left. So this woman here now is trying to tell me that I don't like black people, and as a result, white people don't like black people, and as a result, they get killed more by the planet. So what does she think's happening? She thinks that all these white people, all these Asian people, and all these other ethnicities are getting together, and they're praying to the weather god to get the black people killed. Is that what she thinks is happening? It makes no sense. And when people do this, and you need to see what's happening here. When they do that and they're drawing it, that's them trying to like make a point and trying to pull everything into one neat point. She's not making a neat point. The neat point that she was trying to make there is everything's racist. Watch her. Watch this. Racism is everywhere, pulling all into one central point so you can see it. That's what that gesture does. Watch.
Resources to rebuild their own community.
Pleading with you.
Like,
deep breath, compose herself.
Wake up and smell the flowers, people, okay? There is race embedded into every decision in the United States of America, and the sooner that we realize that, the sooner we can stop people from dying because of things that could have been prevented.
Could have been prevented.
Something that's been bought.
No, she's crazy. So basically, the weather's racist. So now, if I give you that as true, what do we do about that? What do we do? How do we prevent the clouds and the atmosphere causing weather that kills people in that area? Or have you ever thought about using logic to look at it and think, well, hang on, there's a community there, and that community is mostly filled with blank kind of person. So blank kind of person could be any group or ethnicity or race or creed or whatever you want to pick, because people tend to live near people that are similar to them. So when I was at university, the university was like in the Asian part of town, and there was lots of like Indians and Pakistanis and people from other walks of life around that area, and they all lived next to each other. They all spoke to each other in that language, and that all dead polite, fully integrated into the society. There was never any problems with them, and they all live next to each other. And then like you hear tell of America, like what's Chinatown? So do all the people that live in Chinatowns in America, do they all live fucking miles away from Chinatown and then get the bus into Chinatown? No, they live in Chinatown, don't they? Do you know what I mean? So what she's saying there is there's groups of people that look like each other, that live near each other, that live in a bad place. So we can take her logic and use her logic to... So that means that Mount Vesuvius was racist against Italians. Doesn't it? When Pompeii got levelled, all those poor Italians because Mount Vesuvius doesn't like people from the Mediterranean with olive-coloured skin. Mount Vesuvius was a racist. It was a racist mountain, wasn't it? No, you're just stupid and can't formulate a decent opinion.
Bothering me about the fact that Texas
Sorry, darling, I didn't hear what you said.
Fine, because of things that could have been prevented.
Something that's been bothering me about the fact that Texas restrictive abortion laws are going in effect today is how a lot of American journalists and, you know, commentators are comparing this to the Taliban and Sharia law. And I just want to point it out, if you don't already know this, if you can't already clock it, this is Islamophobia. What is going on with Texas right now has nothing to do with the racist boogeyman that you've conjured up in your mind. And it has everything to do with the fact that right-wing evangelism caused this. That's it. Point blank, period. It has to do with the fact that white people's birth rates are declining. And in a country where whiteness is power...
See what I mean about how black and white, and in America it's all black and white. So it's got nothing to do with the fact that people don't want people killing babies. It's about, so even now, like all the feminist movement and all this sexual liberation that happened and all that, we did all that for women, right? But really we did it because we were racist. Like, we pretend we did it for women, but it's all race. Like, if you guys don't stop seeing race everywhere, I think we should get a petition to build a fucking wall around America, right? And we'll just send all the racists there, because clearly it's racist country. Clearly it's where the racists need to be to exist, to live a good whip, crack and laugh. That's where they need to be, clearly, because I don't see this anywhere else in the world. And like, you guys in America need to understand that you're on the main stage and everybody's looking at you. I come from a damp little rock in the North Sea. Right, a tiny little rock. There's 65 million of us at best, right? That's a fifth what there is of you, right? And all you see is racism. That's all you see. It's every place you go. Oh, the banks are racist, the doctors are racist, the pavements are racist because I tripped over. I wouldn't have done that to a white woman. It's madness. It's absolute madness. I was with her, like, when she was saying about the evangelical, because Christianity is one of the reasons that people don't think abortion's right. Christianity still hates gay people. You know what I mean? Because if you're following the book, it's still a sin. The book hasn't changed. I've got the book there. It still hasn't changed. It still says for a man to lie with another man is an abomination. It still says that. And if you're a Christian that believes the book, you still believe that. You're just being polite to people. Ben Shapiro says it as well. Like, if they're going to start trying to they're going to get synagogues to marry gay people. If the government's going to get involved and make gay marriage a thing, because it's not a marriage at the minute, it's a civil partnership. It's a marriage. So are they going to make a rabbi marry two gay people against what he believes in his book? Oh, well, that's all racist as well, you see, because it's all racism. It all comes back down to the fact that it's melanin levels, people.
That is a bad thing to them. It has to do with holding on to the systemic power that they've had for so long that they will do anything, including making sure that they harm women and children to keep the status quo. It has to do with white supremacy. That's why this is happening.
If it was to do with white supremacy, we'd only be aborting black babies. Think about it. If the whites are supreme and the blacks are inferior, right? That's the framework you've given me. If that's the case, if whites are superior and blacks are inferior, you'd kill the black babies and you'd breed loads of white babies so that the whites outnumbered the blacks because we deemed the whites as superior. Flip the script. If blacks are superior to whites, you'd kill all the white babies, wouldn't you? Because black supremacy and all that, you'd want rid of the whites. So, if you can't see that happening, what the fuck are you talking about? It's like, white babies and black babies get aborted at the same rate. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you take the amount of black women that have had abortions and the amount of white women that have had abortions, there's similar rates. Obviously, there's going to be a disparity in the numbers because they're going to represent a greater figure. If you take 60 million white people and 30 million black people and survey them, the numbers are going to be different, but the percentages will be similar. Madness. White supremacy. Take your fucking bonnet off. Kevin Samuels will be ashamed of you.
The Republican Party built the Taliban army in Afghanistan, and they're currently building the Taliban army in Texas. That's right, the Texas Taliban is terrorizing...
The Texas Taliban. If I ever thought of a place where Sharia law would be the last to end up, it would be Texas.
...women in Texas. They're letting them know that if the Taliban rape you and you get pregnant, you have to carry that terrorist baby to term. And if you don't carry that terrorist baby to term, you can be sued $10,000 by the Taliban. And I'm guessing more.
So does that mean, because obviously I don't keep up with American politics as much as most people would, mainly because it drives me insane. But, so does that mean that now if you get raped in Texas, because she's calling the Taliban Texas Taliban, does that mean if you get raped in Texas you can't have an abortion based on the rape? Because that seems a bit extreme. And that's, like, I can't remember what the actual figure is, but it's low. It's like, it's less than 10%. Less than 10% of abortions are rape. The rest of them are just bad choices. So if I don't actually know if they've got rid of that. She might just be spouting lies here.
More than one Taliban soldier can sue you. And the Taliban can sue not only the person getting the abortion, the person driving them to the abortion. They can sue the doctor that provides the abortion. Don't let them build a Taliban army in your state. Make sure you vote in every single election, every single one, because the Republican Taliban army is coming.
Jesus, the Republican Taliban. Well, anyway, there's Big Nick. That's Big Nick there. Tries to post videos every couple of weeks. That man here, absolute legend, because it means I didn't have to edit all this stuff together. Thanks, Nick, for that. I'm gonna drop him in the description below. If you made it this far, Jesus, thank you for watching. 55 minutes deep, man. You're a soldier. But remember to do the YouTube stuff. Like it. Don't forget to drop a comment on it. Subscribe if you're not already. I'm on my road. I'm on the way to 1,000 subscribers. When I get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm gonna have to start concentrating on the algorithm and stuff, because I won't be able to swear in that anymore. Pieces of shit. But if I can get enough support from you guys, I don't intend to censor myself at all. I don't intend to. I'll set up a Patreon if I need to, and I'll sell some merch to you, but I intend to keep it 100% with you, just off the cuff, exactly as I've done it so far. I've pulled no punches, I've read no script. Peace.